Hi, my name is Lindsey Coyle, and I'm a sophomore nursing student here at Bloomsburg University. I've decided to do my project on the Battle of Aleppo that happened during the Syrian civil war that is still going on today. Before the war, Aleppo was the largest city in Syria, with a population over 2 million people. It was a well-developed city, but during the war it suffered massive destruction. As you can see here in the picture on the right, the before and after shots of a site in the city. It is very sad because this city is considered the worst hit in all of the war. Facts about the Syrian civil war. The estimated amount of casualties in the Syrian civil war is 470,000 people. About 11 million Syrians are on the run, including 4.8 million who have been forced to seek safety in neighboring countries such as Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey. Every year the conflict continues, the refugee population exponentially increases. There are now 4.8 million Syrians scattered throughout the region, making them the world's largest refugee population under the United Nations mandate. It's the worst exodus since the Rwanda genocide 20 years ago. The two fighting sides of the war. The first side is the Syrian opposition. The Syrian opposition consists of the Free Syrian Army, the FSA, and other Sunni groups such as the Levant Front and Al-Qaeda-affiliated Al-Nusra Front. The second side of the war is the Syrian government. In 2011, nationwide protests began in an attempt to overthrow President Bashar Assad and seek independence. These protests and rallies became known as part of the Arab Spring and the unofficial start of the civil war. Aleppo had remained undisturbed until July 22, 2012, when rebel fighters from neighboring villages penetrated the city. The start of the battle. The Battle of Aleppo started in 2012 and did not end until the year 2016. In 2012, the year was the year of the initial rebel attack and the capture of eastern Aleppo. The opposition forces' goal was to target the security centers and the police centers of the city, and they did successfully overrun many centers, and they were able to gain access to more supplies and ammo this way in order to gain more power. The picture below is a picture of a destroyed government tank found in the streets of Aleppo. (2013) After numerous attacks on the Aleppo International Airport, all flights were suspended in January of 2013. This year was a series of advances and counter-advances for both sides of the war. In June, the Syrian army announced the start of Operation Northern Storm. This was an attempt to recapture territory in and around the city that they had lost to the rebels. Over a one-week period, government forces advanced in the city and the countryside, pushing back the rebels. In November, the Syrian army started an offensive against the rebel-held Base 80. 15 rebels were killed, and the army were able to recapture the base. During this offensive, army helicopters attacked with barrel bombs, killing more than 1,000 people, a vast majority of those people being innocent civilians living in the city. In 2014, in November, the UN proposed a peace treaty that would allow the rebels the chance to leave without violence as long as they surrendered their arms. President Assad reportedly considered the option, but the FSA did not want anything to do with it because they did not trust President Assad's word, and they thought he would go back on the treaty. In 2015, throughout 2015, control over parts of Aleppo varied between rebel groups, government army, and terror groups. In between June 15th to 17th, 62 civilians were killed and nearly 200 injured due to rebel groups' bombing campaigns. In late 2015, terror groups such as ISIS and Hezbollah took control over major sections of Aleppo. By the end of 2015, only 80 doctors were left in eastern rebel-held part of Aleppo, which is only 1 for every 7,000 residents, while only 1 bakery was left to serve over 120,000 people. The city was in shambles, and everyone was trying to leave the city and seek refuge somewhere else. 2016. In early 2016, the Syrian government fought to cut the rebel supply line and was successful in doing so. In July, the rebels were running low on supplies and thus launched a large-scale counterattack on the Syrian government. This counterattack led to the deaths of nearly 130 civilians as well as 500 fighters. On December 13, almost all of Aleppo was back under the government's control. A ceasefire was agreed upon, but was later broken by the Syrian government only 2 days after the ceasefire was agreed on, when they began to rebomb the rebel fighters. By December 22, 2016, all civilians and other refugees were evacuated from the city of Aleppo. After the dust settled, major sections of the city of Aleppo was left almost entirely destroyed and abandoned. With over 4 years of fighting, the Battle of Aleppo represents one of the longest sieges in modern warfare, which left an estimated 31,183 people dead. Over a year after the battle had ended, the country of Syria is left still in political turmoil, which thus is opening the door for terror groups to seize control of this unstable country. Thank you for listening to my video podcast project. My name is Lindsey Coyle, and this is the end of my project of the Battle of Aleppo.